morning, Payson High. Welcome to another episode of The Pride.
We have a great show for you guys. We'll be discussing school policies, our recent state championship, and later we'll take a look at the weather.
We'll start out our show by talking about a game that has been draining phone batteries for weeks.
Flappy Bird had taken over America, but was recently taken off the app stores.
Why has it been taken off, you ask?
Could it be because of the fact that millions of teens were no longer paying attention in class?
Or could it be because adults have stopped showing up to work due to the distraction of trying to beat their high scores?
Speaking of which, what's your score?
Better than yours, if that's what you're asking.
Not for long.
First it was Angry Birds, then Temple Run, but now a new game dominates the app marketplace. Flappy Birds, created by Dong Nguyen, has caused teens at Payson High School to fall back on classwork because of how addictive the game is.
I think that homework can wait. This is far more important than homework and college and work and friends.
Some teens even say it is more addicting than heroin. Would you say Flappy Birds is more addicting than heroin?
Seeing as I've never tried heroin, I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah.
I would definitely say it's more addicting than heroin. People are raving in the streets, just crazy. Oh, I died.
What worries me most about this game is the trouble it causes. Some kids get so attached that they actually become physically violent because they cannot beat their high score. Colton Davenport, recently released from the Utah County Juvenile Hall, is no stranger to the repercussions that can come from Flappy Bird-induced violence. So, tell us what happened that fateful day.
I was playing Flappy Bird while sitting by my lad, my big boy. I don't know his performance, just my performance was affected by his presence. I couldn't get the bird up fast enough. I couldn't get it through the hole well enough. I died for like the 30th time, and I was so mad. And he said,
"It's okay. There's more to life than Flappy Birds."
I couldn't explain. Flappy Bird was all there was. It was all that mattered, all that I needed. If I didn't beat that high score, I didn't need to live. There is nothing but Flappy Bird. I hit him. I kept hitting him until he stopped. He stopped breathing. Didn't know what to do, but I just got angry again. I picked him up and put him in the trash and told him that's where he belonged. I walked away to collect myself, but I realized he was dead. I knew.
So, Mr. Nelson, I have heard that you've made some pretty interesting discoveries about this Flappy Birds game.
Yes, as a scientist, I have done extensive studies on the game itself and what effects it has on the students. And I found that the higher score you have, the better chance you'll end up in prison.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The craze over Flappy Bird has become so out of control that the creator himself has removed it from the iOS App Store and Google Play just a couple days ago.
He says, and I quote, "Flappy Bird was designed to play in a few minutes when you are relaxed, but it happened to become an addictive product. It has become a problem. To solve that problem, it's best to take down Flappy Bird. It's gone forever."
Well, it looks like Flappy Bird is gone for good. Whether or not you're affected by this epidemic, all I can say now is, let's just hope our generation doesn't turn into a bunch of mindless drones who are slaves to our smartphones. Back to you guys in the studio.
We congratulate those of you who have scores in the hundreds. That's pretty hard to do.
Other congratulations are in order to our new state champion wrestling team.
We're lucky enough to have a personal interview with wrestling coach Jeb Clark.
Let's take it to Sierra for the scoop on our state champs.
Thanks, Allie. I'm here with our high school wrestling coach, Jeb Clark, to talk about last weekend. It's good to have you here, Jeb. Thanks for having me.
So first off, what was it like winning your first state championship as coach?
Pretty nerve-wracking, I would say.
Yeah.
It was it's kind of an intense tournament, but I had a good time and we won, so that's always a plus.
That's awesome. What individual performances just really stuck out to you?
Well, first I'd probably have to say having Jed and Hagen Lovelace win the state championship. That was a pretty great experience. Last year we had Riley and KK Lovelace win the state championship, so the brother thing is kind of a big deal here at Payson, but I couldn't have been more proud than of Jed and Hagen. They wrestled like champs all the way through. Hagen actually had a scare early in the tournament with a bad call from a ref, and we had the match went on standstill for a good 15 minutes.
Wow.
And he ended up coming back out and beating the kid and winning the match, and ended up winning the state tournament. So I thought that Hagen wrestled like a champ. On the losing, or I guess on the consolation end of things, I was really proud of Derek Johnson and Will Ford, a couple of seniors who wrestled really well and were really good leaders. But what was hard about what they did is they lost in the semis, which would have put them into the championship bracket or into the championship finals. And I know they wanted it. They worked for it all year, but you know what? They bounced back. They came back and Will took third and Derek took fourth, and they essentially won a state championship for us. So
Definitely. What do you hope our wrestlers learned from the whole experience in general?
One thing that I hope that they took from it is I hope that they learned, one thing that's unique about wrestling is that once you lose, you're not out. You're not over. It's double elimination in those tournaments, and a lot of the times where we score our biggest points as a team is with those wrestlers that after they lose that come back and take third, fourth, fifth place.
Yeah.
And it's tough to do. It's not an easy thing. But we had, on Friday night, we had 10 wrestlers in the semifinals getting ready to go for the championship. And we only had 3 wins, so 7 lost. And it was a really heartbreaking night because a lot of those kids wanted to go on to the finals. But what happened was they knew they needed to score points for the team, and they forgot themselves and wrestled for the team. And we had 5 of them come back and take third place, and all the rest of them come back and place for the team. And in the end, we had 13 placers. But really, what I hope that I think that a good life lesson learned there is that you know what, get knocked down, you just got to keep fighting. And they're team players. They know how to. They care about each other, and they were wrestling for each other. So
Yeah, I completely agree. So what are your plans for next year's team?
I want to win a state championship. I hope.
Yeah.
I know they do. We have 9 returning placers, actually almost 10 returning placers, and then we have a handful of freshmen coming up next year. That will be really tough, and then even some of our JV will move into the varsity lineup next year, and I think that things are looking pretty good for us. You never know; it's crazy. Stars have to align to win state championships, but you know what? That's our goal. I know that's the kids' goal is to win another one, and then on top of that, I think that these kids want to not just be the best in the 3A; they want to be the best in the state as well. So we'll keep working for that. So
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And hopefully next year we can bring home another one of these bad boys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Back to you guys in the studio.
Congratulations to all our wrestlers. What a great way to end the season.
I'm sure all of the senior wrestlers were excited to end their high school wrestling careers with a state championship.
It's been a great last couple of weeks for Payson High sports.
Our wrestlers aren't the only superstars here at school. Our girls basketball team finished out their season yesterday, overall doing very well this year.
And let's not forget about our boys basketball team, who went undefeated in our region and pulled out as region champs.
They're now headed for a state championship. It really is such a great time to be a Lion.
We've had an exciting winter sports season.
And we've had some great weather to go along with it.
I think the sunshine has all of us itching for spring. Let's take a look to see if this great weather is here to stay. Damon?
Hey guys, just checking out the weather. It's a little bit chilly out here, but not too bad. It's 36 degrees currently with a high of 41 possibly today. No wind, not seen as of now. May sound a little outrageous to some, but it's kind of how us Utahns live. It sure would be nice to have a little bit of summer right as of now. But that's all that we have. That's your weather for today. Back to you, Austin and Allie.
Thanks, Damon. Looks like we better enjoy this weather while we have it. You never know when the next snowstorm's going to blow in around here.
That's right. Up next, we have a story regarding all of you out there with beards and mustaches.
And for those of you who can't grow facial hair, sophomores, we advise you to listen up.
Well, one day you too might be able to grow some facial hair. We hope.
Our school's facial hair policy has changed over the last few years. Are you aware of what it is now?
Perhaps you've grown out your facial hair.
Or peach fuzz in Austin's case?
Back to what I was saying, perhaps you've grown out your facial hair without knowing about the policy we have here at Payson.
Let's take a look at what that policy entails.
Has there ever been a rule at your school that needs changing? A rule that seems so out of date that it's not even applicable to your high school anymore? 3 years ago, a rule like this was overturned at Payson High School. This rule said that all facial hair, with the exception of a well-trimmed mustache, was not allowed, and the administration took this so-called beard rule very seriously.
We just would, if kids had facial hair, we would just ask them to shave it, and if they didn't, we had razors in the office and we would have them go and do it.
Finally, some students got pretty tired of this rule, and one student in particular went above and beyond to get rid of the beard rule.
I remember there were some students that were really passionate about that rule, and they came up with some really good arguments and presented those arguments to the school board, and they felt like their arguments were sound, so that they changed the rule.
After all was said and done, one real question remained. Did the fact that a student had facial hair affect his learning in any way? What difference does having facial hair really make?
It wouldn't affect. Once I've identified them as a student, then it wouldn't affect.
All high schools have those rules from an earlier time that don't make sense in this day and age. So as our culture progresses, shouldn't we be willing to change those rules to accommodate that change?
That's what life is all about, is change. And most changes can be good. There can be some changes that are bad. But if it doesn't infringe on the rights of others and it improves their life, I think those changes are good.
So if there's a rule at our school that you think is outdated or needs changing, don't be afraid to stand up and make your voice heard. Now how about that hat rule?
There are many policies that we have here at Payson High.
One of the most controversial is the hat policy.
Many of us have been pestered by administrators and teachers asking us repeatedly to remove our hats while we're inside the school.
But why? What is the purpose and the meaning of the hat policy?
Paige and Stockton dug a little deeper into that subject for us.
The hat policy has been an issue for many teachers and students ever since the policy has been in effect.
Most students know that hats aren't allowed to be worn during school, but some still try to get away with it by wearing them during class and through the halls.
So we decided to ask some teachers and students their opinions on the hat policy.
How do you feel about the hat policy?
I think that a lot of students don't always understand it, but I think that it's just kind of a district rule and you have to follow it.
How do I feel about the hat policy? It's a complicated question. I think that hats do not affect learning, and if it were up to me, I would not have the hat policy that we do.
Well, personally, I don't often wear hats, but I think it's a bigger issue for teachers to go out of their way and say, take off your hat, rather than just letting it happen.
Recently, a student from Salem Hills High School, John Hill, approached the district about this issue, trying to change their minds about the hat policy.
So I understand that you went to the district recently. How did that go?
Wonderful, actually. Personally, I think 3 of the district members approached us after the presentation, and they hugged us, said that was wonderful, you guys did a great job. The points were wonderful, and the reactions were great, so overall it was positive.
So do you think you have a good chance at changing the hat policy?
I'm not entirely certain myself, but our principal approached me the other day, and he said, your name is John, right? And I said, yeah. And he's like, you went to the district for the hat policy? And I said, yes. And he said, you must have done a really good job because we talked about it in our meeting last night. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, it's happening.
How do you feel about one of your own students approaching the district about the hat policy?
I'm grateful that they did it. I thought they did a great job. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from the superintendent, and they went over and did a good job. So hopefully they're looking at it and they'll make some adjustments.
Can one student change the district's mind about a policy that's been around for years? It's happened before with the facial hair policy, and it could happen again. Don't forget that the students influence the district's decisions more than you think, so don't be afraid to try to make a change.
Sounds like the hat policy is here to stay.
Be sure to keep those hats off in the school.
We have some extremely talented people here at Payson High, and we have the opportunity to witness those talents this week.
Our annual talent show is this Friday in the auditorium.
We have our student body president, Callie Jensen, on the site with details.
Thanks, guys. I'm Callie Jensen, and I have a couple really important announcements for you guys, so listen up. This Friday, I want to see every single one of you guys in these seats at 8 a.m. because some of Payson High School's best talent will be performing on this stage. So come and support them. If you can't, that's okay. You can check it out at thelionspride.org. Also, our undefeated region champion boys basketball team has their first round of state here at 7 against UNT Ute. So come cheer them on and wear tons of green. And finally, Homeless for a Night is coming. It's March 7th through the 8th. It's $15 and sign up at the finance office because space is limited. That's all I have for you guys. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Callie. It's nice to have you back. And thank you all for joining us today.
I'm Allie Outgood.
And I'm Austin Warnick.
We'll see you next time on The Pride.